to discuss inequalities, to share experiences, and to hear what others are doing as well. So this session is co-convened by two organizations. One is WaterAid. We'll be having representation from different countries. And then we'll have a WSCC-funded program through the Global Sanitation Fund that is implemented by AMREF Health Africa in Kenya. And the program is called K-SHIP. So allow me to introduce the two co-conveners who will, one of them will be facilitating, the other one will be presenting. So allow me to introduce Beverly. Beverly serves as the project officer for the K-SHIP program that is funded by the Global Sanitation Fund and executed by AMREF Health Africa in Kenya. And she's passionate about sustainable development and the Conference of Policy, Research and Practice. She's an experienced Kenyan public health professional who has about 10 years of experience and has done different things, WASH, menstrual hygiene management, and she leans quite heavily on the human rights angle, which is very nice to hang around. I've had the privilege of knowing Beverly for a while. So. And then I have our colleague from WaterAid. I know he prefers just to be called Halidou, but I'd like to call you Dr. Kowanda. He's the country director of WaterAid Burkina Faso, but he's moving. He's been the director there since 2010, but we got news on Sunday that he'll be moving to a regional position, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been in Burkina since 2003 doing WASH sector work, and the programs is covered over advocacy, policy, service delivery, capacity building at the community level. And WaterAid supports local authorities for better management for water resources. Before then, Dr. Kowanda worked for CREPA, which is a regional research center for WASH from 2007 to 2010 as a researcher, and the ministry in charge of water and environment from 92 to 2000. He has a PhD, that's why we call him Dr. Kowanda, from the Swiss Federal Institute in Lausanne, Switzerland. So it's exciting to have the two speakers, and Dr. Kowanda will be facilitating the session. I just had the privilege of introducing them because I lead this sub-theme conversation throughout the conference. Dr. Kowanda, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to your session, our session. This session is about leaving no one behind. As you know, the 2030 is a journey for all of us. By the end of the SDGs, we expect all people across the world to have access to improve sanitation services. This means that we need to really find some good strategies and approaches. We need to collaborate more to target the marginalized groups, those who are not really covered by our programs. And this session, during the session, we will listen to two ladies and one gentleman. Beverly will present the case of Kenya, and Ada will present the case of Nigeria, and Sanu will present the case of Burkina. I think all cases, they are about targeting those who are, let's say, systematically excluded from the services that we are developing in our countries. After the the presentation, we will have some people as panelists. We will have Clara from WSCC, who is supporting a lot of work around the world. And we will have Priscilla from Nigeria, the Women Environmental Program, women NGO supporting a lot of work in Nigeria and even beyond. And yes, we will finish with some question and answers from the assistants, from the participants, and after we will wrap up. And yeah. So, on that note, I would like to hand over to Okay, we will hear from our friend from WSCC for opening remarks, and after that we will start with the presentations. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kauda. Is it Kauda? Wanda. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't intend to take a lot of time, but to set the ball rolling, I think for the entire day of yesterday and today, all of us have been hearing of the word leaving no one behind. And I think it is now becoming a household name. And we are happy to get associated with this. First of all, my name is Daniel Crowell, and I work for Amref Health Africa in Kenya. I lead the program that is supported by WSCC under the Global Sanitation Fund program that has been working in Kenya for the last 4 years. This is in the 5th year now. And we'll be very happy to share a few insights through the presentation by Beverly. But to set the ball rolling, I think a few things need to be very clear to all of us. And I have a few comments that because this discussion point is very important for all of us, not important because of the work that we are doing as Amref Health Africa in Kenya, but by targeting people who are often left behind. And the question that many of us ask, and we have been asking ourselves as Amref Health Africa in Kenya, that this really resonates very well with our vision of lasting health change in Africa. And there will be no lasting health change if there are people that we often leave behind. So in this same spirit, I think I will personally equate the issue of leaving others behind to walking alone, and the issues around leaving nobody behind as walking together. Working together because we want to make sure that we have everybody within us and around us as we implement programs. And we need to constantly ask ourselves the question, who are we leaving behind? We need to ask ourselves the question, why are we leaving people behind? We need to ask the question again, how do we need to bring these people to ensure that we cover these people? So I think it will be very important for all of us to think while we program a few things that are very important. One, how do we identify those people that we often leave behind? Two, how do we target them more appropriately? Four, how do we make sure that we monitor all the programs that we implement to ensure that these are programs that are enriching? So as we develop programs, I want to ask all of us to rally about two things. That sanitation and hygiene are already human rights in many countries, and we need to do more to ensure that we actualize this. And then, because we have heard in many areas, and we have heard in many, and globally, that everybody country is championing for UHC, universal health coverage. I think one of the resolutions that must come up from this conference is that there will be no UHC without universal sanitation coverage. And these things, and we heard this morning, that many people, many children in Africa die because of poor sanitation. In fact, more than those who die for malaria, HIV and AIDS and TB combined. So it is a calling for all of us to make sure that we rally around the global community to put down our feet and say there will be no universal health coverage without universal sanitation. Thank you all, and I think now we'll want to invite the team to take us through how we can program better so that we leave no one behind in our programming interventions across the world. Thank you.
Before starting the presentation, I want to complete my the list of panelists. We have one parliamentarian from Burkina. He is a member of the Parliamentarian Watch Network, and he will be a member of the panel. And you can imagine that, yeah, we will ask him some good questions so that, yeah, he can help us. So, hand over to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Beverly Mba, and as you've heard, I serve on the Kenya Sanitation and Hygiene Improvement Program, where I serve as a project officer, and I work, therefore, with AMREF Health Africa in Kenya. Before I proceed, and so I don't forget, we brought a couple of material that speaks to and relates to our presentation as such, which you will find at the desk at the end. Right. So my intention today is to share with you from a programmatic experience of how we have been able to reach those who are often excluded in programming, in sanitation and hygiene programming. I will spend just a few minutes telling you a little bit about the scope of our program, in case you're not familiar with it. And then I will tell you about some of the achievements we have had on leaving no one behind, as is indicated there. And I will share with you some of the lessons. My intention, therefore, is that by discussing this, we can distill together what can go into feeding into the larger commitments we're going to make during this Africa Sun 5. So the Kenya Sanitation and Hygiene Improvement Program is a global sanitation funded program by WSEC, as was indicated. In Kenya, it has 6 components, as outlined. What I want you to pay particular attention to is that equity and inclusion is intentionally considered and planned for as a component, as a program component. At the moment, we're in the first phase, which is running for 5 years. We're in the 5th of the 5 years. So when you'll be seeing the results I'm presenting, they're going back for the last 4 years. It covers a scope of going across 11 counties in Kenya. We have a total of 47 counties, but we're in 11 counties. In each one of these, we're in one sub-county. What I want to highlight is that about 3 of these sub-counties, and this speaks to equity and inclusion as well, about 3 of these sub-counties were chosen specifically for how excluded they often would be. And I'm speaking about Wajir, which is right here. I'm speaking about Kwale and Narok here. You'll find like Narok, with the high population of pastoralist community, with high poverty indexes, similar to Wajir and to Kwale, but also because of their geographical distances and many other challenges, would often be considered or categorized as hard or difficult to serve. Now, some of the objectives we have are outlined here. I want you to pay particular attention to this particular objective here. But nonetheless, the program intended to reach and sensitize about 1.92 million Kenyans with sanitation and hygiene improvement messaging, and to certify 400 villages to become open defecation free. And as a result, the expectation was that 755,000 people would move from open defecation to basic latrines, and of these, 377 would move up the sanitation ladder to improved facilities. But what is important is that we had an objective on identifying and serving 55,000 people who would be vulnerable. When I use vulnerable in this conversation, and I'll show you in a couple of minutes, it is both persons with disabilities, physical, visual, but we also take into account those ones who are excluded by virtue of poverty, because of issues of gender, culture, amongst others. So it's a packed objective. And I want you to notice now, of all of these objectives I've indicated here, what we've achieved. Of course, you will notice across all of them, being in this is the 5th year just starting, we've had quite some super achievements on our objectives. But we've also had quite some significant success on our objectives relating to vulnerability. So this is going to be my crux, my focus of discussion this afternoon. So, in addition to simply reaching these people who are vulnerable, and I explained this categorization, we've also experienced, and these 3 results have been further demonstrated in a recent outcome survey conducted in 2018. We've also achieved very high rates of participation of the groups who would be usually excluded. We've achieved high levels of participation, including in decision-making as to the type of facilities to be constructed. We've also recorded very high satisfaction rates from the same categories of people, and we've also recorded progress up the sanitation ladder. And you must know that this is in some previously difficult to reach area. For example, and I apologize I didn't put the link here, we recently had one of the government officials in one of the counties I indicated, Wajir, showcasing how, for the very first time, they were declaring some villages open defecation free after years and years of not recording any results. So you have to appreciate the kind of environment in which we are talking about. So let me just showcase some of the evidence from the outcome survey. In this outcome survey that was done not only in Kenya but across other GSF-supported countries, but in Kenya, these results are particularly for Kenya. And here, of course, I'm demonstrating what would be this is our hypothesized theory of change for what exposure to the intervention would lead. And as you can see at the end, we have intentionally equity as one of our impacts that we want to achieve. 67% reported these are persons with disabilities, physical and visual, and persons aged 65 years and above. They reported that they could be able to use the latrines whenever they wanted. Whenever, of course, speaks to access. So it's not that they're dependent on any other person or at particular times they cannot access the facilities. 58% say that they were involved both in decision-making of what kind of toilets would be built. I remember when I saw this particular result, I said, oh, what about the other 42%? What we've realized is that some of these 42%, perhaps because of extreme limitations, maybe they were not able to participate in such conversations, but they were physically present. And as you'll see how we came about such results, you will see how we've adjusted our programming to ensure such results. 66% reported that they could comfortably use a latrine without the help of anybody, which speaks also not only to the technology and how it's been adjusted to suit different needs. And I particularly like the last results. 75% reported that they could be able to wash their hands whenever they need a rose, and besides, they were able to do so without the need of assistance from any other person. So this looks at 2 indicators. Now, if you were there in the pre-conference workshop on Sunday, and by then in future, I encourage you to come to such pre-conference workshops. They're quite exciting. Professor Robert Chambers was there. Hi, Prof. Now, we had a lot of conversation around where part of the challenge in programming comes, which is that how we limit our programs and how we identify those who need to or who could be potentially excluded. In our program, we, of course, outline a wide spectrum of persons, and we intentionally try to identify these categories of people. And I've tried to put them in a bit of a spectrum to also demonstrate to you that we're still improving. Because at the moment, we're doing much better in identifying persons with disability, persons who could be excluded because of age, because of gender, and geography, and poverty, as well as culture. And here is because, for example, men not participating because they are away for particular cultural practices. But an interesting thing which has emerged and our program is being done in rural areas, but some of this, of course, have emerging urban populations, is this issue of land tenure. This is where you find, like in one of the counties, Nakuru, for example, there's a population living and working around a quarry. They do not own that land. So even having conversations with them about constructing latrines brings additional challenges. So this is another population which were being left behind. But this is the entire spectrum of groups that we also try to include. So now, you must be wondering, how did we arrive at some of the results I've just indicated before? Some of the things done is about blending approaches. Like I said before, we have mainstreamed all of this in our programming. This means, for instance, during pre-triggering, during triggering, and all across the entire set of activities, identifications of persons who would be excluded, mainstreaming menstrual hygiene management, and for those of you who are familiar with what we do in Kenya, we take the three-prong approach. This is breaking the silence, safe and hygienic management, and safe and hygienic disposal. All of these are done alongside the implementation of the CLTS approach. So in a way, you can say we're doing CLTS plus. Also, we found that sanitation marketing contributes quite significantly to reaching those who would be left behind. What does this mean? Because by training artisans, by increasing the technology and sanitation products available, and training artisans to adjust them to suit the needs of different people, and by involving the people whose needs are being catered for, and I'll show you in a couple of minutes with pictures, we've been able to have technological options that address the different needs. And even especially also experience reduction in cost, which therefore means people are not excluded because of poverty. And of course, in our programming, also we intentionally work with all institutions, because sometimes in programming, you are targeting the households and you forget about the health facilities and or schools. Now, throughout, we do this amongst others. You will see, I'll show you some pictures. Even when you're training our village sanitation committee, these are the community health workers plus the natural leaders and the administrative leaders. These are the implementers on the ground. They are the ones who do monitoring as well. They've been triggered, they've been trained on how to identify and support. And they do so even during follow-up. And we, in our program, also monitor. So I wanted to show you pictorially. So this would be a typical diary kept by a village sanitation committee member. And there's multiple, and they keep multiple pages. And of course, based on this, then the data is collected, flows all the way to the county level, up to the national level. And as you know, by now in Kenya, we have an online monitoring system. Nonetheless, the system doesn't yet have very explicit indicators for all socially excluded groups, but at least at the community level, we're able to capture this information. And you can see this particular village, they've identified the people who in their village have different needs, and they've even, I know it's perhaps not legible, but I thought better to show you the actual picture. They've actually identified why those people have different needs compared to the others. And what you'll see progressively, they will also track and see if needs are changing. For example, if I'm sick, my needs are different from when I'm not sick. And that need also has to be addressed, and you have to make sure that village is taking that into account. And we've seen quite incredible amounts of community support to the persons who've been identified here, especially in terms of giving labor to those homesteads to construct the infrastructure that they need. I want to tell you a story about this mama. And her husband, her spouse, is about 65 years old. They live in Nakuru. They're really quite poor. And her husband initially had been excommunicated from the community, but when he came back, his brother gave him a small piece of land on which to build a house, but they didn't have a toilet. the husband is completely bedridden. So they would often have to go to their brother's toilet to use, and it was quite a sad situation. So every time she would see the village sanitation committee members, she would run away from them because she knew she could not be able to construct the latrine or facility which they wanted. But all that time, she would then have to lift her husband. Actually, he is 6'3", tall fella. And she would have to lift him, clean him. It was quite a challenge. But eventually, this was constructed, and a commode was also made, such that now she only has to lift him to the chair where the commode is, and then now carry the fecal matter to the latrine. And this particular day, she was happy. She hugged me, and she said now she's become one of the biggest champions of sanitation in that village. Here I'm showcasing what we've done for what the communities have been able to support and households have been able to support persons who are 65 years and above. As you can see, this is a rope to support oneself when using the commode. As you can see it there, it's a raised platform, which makes it a bit more comfortable for her to squat. Now, we also have similar ropes for persons who are visually impaired to walk from their household with knots to come to these facilities. This is another case. Now, this was quite an interesting one, and I'm demonstrating some of the technologies we've also been able to get. This case, this mzee is in, this old man is in Tharaka-Nithi. He has a grandson who also had, I forget the name of the condition, but he could not control the fecal matter flowing out. It was quite a challenge. So we have an old man and we have his grandson. But what you can see here is the raised facility, and this was done completely with the support of the community. I talked about how sanitation marketing is also helping us to reach the last mile, or the people who are usually excluded. Before, construction of toilets would also be quite costly, and that would be a barrier. This, I'm showcasing some images from Busia, one of the counties, and I'm trying to show 1, 2, and 3 different types of facilities. As you can see, this one, the middle one, this is made from interlocking bricks, a technology, well, the brand name is Makiga. And this helped, these are the artisans who've been trained and the ones who construct this, and demand is created through the sanitation marketing activities. But what we have realized is that a reduction of up to 1/3 of the cost of construction. And that reduction of 1/3 means only now what is required to buy cement. Everything else, labor, whatnot, the communities come together and are able to help one another to do it. I'll also tell you a little bit about what has happened in Wajir. As I mentioned, quite a pastoralist and a difficult area where there's nomadic populations. They've been able to customize the timing of triggering. They found that during rainy, to intensify the activities during rainy seasons, because then the men have not moved away to go look for water. And then also conducting post-triggering activities at dawn or at dusk before people go to do work. As you can see, these are very simple adjustments to programming, but they do bring results. And of course, involving religious leaders. This was especially significant for this area, which is predominantly Muslim. And lastly, what they call Ayuta, and my friends from there will chive me for not pronouncing it correctly, I'm sure, but it was a savings and internal lending arrangement where these women would come together, put money together, be able to get money and have disposable income even for investing in sanitation. And this explains why this area was able to record results previously where it wasn't. And again, technology adjustments still in Wajir because of, as you can see, it's a raised platform. It took about 14 days to dig a pit in a rocky area, but they were able to do so. A last one I'll share is a goat eating ceremony in Narok. What we realized was that this is a particularly important cultural practice in Narok. The Maasai men discuss important issues around goat eating. So we said, fine, we will bring shit to the goat eating discussions. And that's how we were able to get. The interesting thing here is that in this area where it was previously thought difficult, they would move from open defecation to immediately to improved facilities. So, in terms of highlighting what our learnings have been, please do blend, please do blend your approaches. Do not be fixated on what works. Be flexible, do agile programming. And for us also, because our program is implemented by sub-grantees in these counties that I've indicated, we have a real-time learning platform that has significantly made it easier to share learnings amongst all the different sub-counties. And of course, it is costlier to reach those who are excluded, but do prioritize. For those areas, sometimes it costs up to 8 or 10 times more to implement the programming compared to other areas, but it is worth the doing. And of course, to improve on monitoring. So I wanted to leave by highlighting the opportunities, and these probably are suggestions as well, that there is room to improve at the national and subnational level the monitoring of how we leave no one behind in our indicators, in the online systems, and of course to enrich at the national level the protocols and the implementation guidelines on equality and non-discrimination or leaving no one behind responsive programming. This is the only way from our program we've realized we can achieve scale. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Beverly, for this nice presentation. We'll move to the next one, please. Yes, this presentation will be given by Mr. Tontama Sanu, who is leading the sanitation department within the National Water and Sanitation Utility in Burkina Faso. And the presentation will be in French. To be inclusive. We are talking about inclusion. So. I hope you are not leaving the room, eh?
Ok, à votre attention, s'il vous plaît. Ok, merci. Ben, je pense que ce n'est pas bien de parler que l'anglais. Hein. Il faut parler un peu d'anglais, un peu de français. Donc, moi, je vais faire la présentation en français. C'est juste une expérience pilote que nous avons menée dans la ville de Ouagadougou que je vais vous présenter. Et avant de passer à la présentation proprement dite, je suis moi-même Sanou Tontama. Je travaille au niveau de l'Office national de l'eau et de l'assainissement. C'est la structure qui est en charge les questions de fourniture d'eau et d'assainissement en milieu urbain au Burkina Faso. Et donc, ce projet-là est parti en fait d'un constat que nous avions fait, parce que nous travaillons uniquement que sur le domaine urbain, comme j'ai dit, et bien balisé. Alors que le constat aujourd'hui, c'est que dans nos villes, on voit tout autour du domaine bien tracé, bien urbanisé là, des populations qui s'installent, et ces populations-là sont souvent laissées pour compte. Il n'y a aucun service, les services de base, ces populations n'ont pas accès à ces services de base-là. Donc c'est un peu dans ce cadre-là que nous avons initié, et on a participé à un appel à projet lancé par l'Union européenne, où l'ONEA et WaterAid de Burkina Faso, et la commune de Ouagadougou, et également une autre ONG qu'on appelle Eau-Vive, nous avons postulé et nous avons pu bénéficier en fait de l'accompagnement de l'Union européenne pour mettre en œuvre le projet. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on voulait tester? Comme je dis, vous voyez un peu, ça c'est un extrait de la carte, une vue de la ville de Ouaga. Vous voyez, cette partie, c'est la zone vraiment bien tracée. On voit les rues sont bien tracées. Et là, la population, bon, qui a droit, en fait, qui a un titre foncier en quelque sorte là. Et vous voyez la frontière. Tout ça, c'est vraiment tout un mélange, un méli-mélo, où il n'y a pas, en fait, il n'y a pas de titre foncier. Les gens sont installés comme ça, pêle-mêle. Et le jour où la commune décide de venir un peu aménager ces sites-là, ces populations-là sont amenées à quitter et à se retrouver ailleurs. Et si nous voulons régler durablement les questions d'assainissement, ben, ils font partie également de la ville. Il ne faut pas s'intéresser à la partie urbanisée uniquement. il faut prendre en compte également ces populations-là. Parce que si on s'intéresse à cette partie uniquement et que là, il y a des petits soucis, je pense que c'est toute la ville entière qui va en pâtir. Et donc, au niveau de l'ONEA, comme je dis, il y a déjà des actions que nous menons ici, à travers des opérateurs qui font la sensibilisation, l'éducation, l'information, la communication, pour amener les populations à adopter les bonnes pratiques, à réaliser des ouvrages d'assainissement. Et donc, dans le cadre de ce projet-là, on a voulu voir, est-ce qu'en reportant ce que nous faisons ici, sur ces zones-là, étant donné que c'est des populations d'un type particulier, est-ce qu'elles sont en mesure également de pouvoir répondre tel que les populations ici répondent à la demande. Donc, on voulait savoir si elles sont intéressées et si elles sont capables de payer pour un service d'assainissement. Et également, est-ce qu'il y a des opérateurs privés qui font la promotion dans ces zones-là? Est-ce que ces opérateurs privés également peuvent être mis à contribution pour faire la promotion de l'assainissement également dans cette zone? Et est-ce qu'elles ont les capacités de pouvoir le faire? Donc, on a bâti un peu le modèle sur 3 piliers. Le premier pilier, comme je disais, c'est le marketing par des opérateurs privés. Il faut amener ces opérateurs à intervenir dans ces zones, à faire également les activités de sensibilisation qu'elles font sur l'autre zone. Le second pilier, c'est la régulation par la commune. Parce que qui parle d'assainissement, également, la commune a un grand rôle à jouer, c'est une partie prenante. Il fallait que la commune s'ingère dans le projet pour assurer la régulation. Le troisième pilier, c'est l'assurance qualité que nous devions faire au niveau de notre structure. Parce que, comme je dis, nous avons en charge les questions d'assainissement en milieu urbain. Et tout ça dans un contexte de droit d'accès à l'eau et à l'assainissement pour tous. Ces droits-là ont été constitutionnalisés au niveau du Burkina Faso, c'est-à-dire que c'est mis dans la loi. Maintenant, à côté, on a WaterAid, comme je le disais tantôt, qui a joué en fait un processus de facilitation. Facilitation des processus, facilitation de la concertation. Et également, vous savez, dans les administrations, les procédures sont très lourdes. Si on doit appliquer en fait toutes les procédures, on perd énormément de temps. Donc, on a mis également WaterAid à contribution pour simplifier un peu les choses, pour pouvoir aller rapidement. Quels sont les résultats auxquels nous sommes parvenus quand on a déroulé un peu tout ça dans ces zones-là? On a pu réaliser 15 900 latrines en 3 ans, ce qui a permis de faire passer le taux d'accès dans ces zones-là, qui était de 6,1% en 2013 à 12% au bout de ces 3 années-là. Il y a également 5 entreprises privées qui sont opérationnelles dans la ville, prêtes à délivrer des services dans les zones concernées. Il y a également un embryon de services techniques. Vous savez que les communes, elles ont beaucoup de priorités, beaucoup de difficultés. Ce n'est pas souvent facile de pouvoir mettre en place des structures techniques qui vont prendre en charge les questions d'eau et d'assainissement. Mais par le biais de ce projet-là, nous avons en tout cas pu mettre en place des embryons de services techniques pour assurer le suivi des activités. Et également, je vous ai dit, c'est des zones un peu sensibles où il n'y a pas un statut clairement défini. Donc, on a souvent peur d'y investir. Ça veut dire que si on doit y investir, il faut voir jusqu'à quel niveau, mais quel peut être le niveau d'investissement. Pour qu'au jour où on va décider en fait, de viabiliser la zone, on ne puisse pas perdre tout ce on y a investi. Donc, dans ce cadre-là, on a voulu avoir un prototype de latrine qui peut être vraiment promu dans ces zones. On avait lancé un concours, une manifestation, où il y a des artisans qui ont postulé. Et voici un prototype, un modèle qu'on avait pu retenir. Cet ouvrage-là, vous voyez, bon, il assure en tout cas toutes les commodités. Et également, c'est un ouvrage qu'on peut déplacer. On peut le dépiécer, on peut le mettre en 4 morceaux. Et s'il y a à se déplacer, la cabine, on ne la perd pas totalement. Les dalles également, on peut récupérer ces dalles-là pour aller les mettre ailleurs. Donc, à l'issue de la mise en œuvre de ce projet-là, qu'est-ce que nous avons tiré comme leçon? Je pense que 3 leçons phares ont été retenues. La première, c'est comme j'ai dit, ces populations-là, elles sont dans le besoin. Ces populations-là sont dans le besoin. Elles s'intéressent, bien qu'elles soient dans des zones non viabilisées, elles répondent au même titre que les populations qui sont dans la zone bien urbanisée là, aux besoins. Et également, elles sont capables de contribuer. Parce que le prototype que je vous ai montré, nous, on avait mis en place un système de subvention où on contribuait à peu près à 75 $ par ménage. Et tout le reste là devait être mobilisé par en fait, les bénéficiaires. On a vu également qu'il y a des opérateurs privés qu'on peut mettre à contribution dans ces zones pour délivrer un service, sensibiliser les populations pour qu'elles puissent effectivement adopter les bonnes pratiques en matière d'hygiène et d'assainissement. Et la dernière leçon, la non moins importante, c'est on a constaté que la propriété foncière, là, ce n'est pas une contrainte à l'amélioration des services d'assainissement. Comme je l'ai dit, c'est des zones provisoires entre griffes, mais ça ne devait pas être un frein pour que les populations qui y sont là n'aient pas accès à des services d'assainissement. Je vous ai montré tout à l'heure l'ouvrage qu'on peut récupérer en partie et une fois qu'on décide de viabiliser la zone. Quels sont les défis émergents qui se présentent? En termes de premier défi, il y a l'amélioration du modèle. J'ai présenté un modèle en 3 piliers tout à l'heure, mais on peut améliorer ce modèle-là en ajoutant un 4e pilier qui nous a manqué quand on a fait en fait, le projet. Ce 4e pilier, c'est quoi? C'est l'engagement citoyen. C'est un thème beaucoup en vogue aujourd'hui, mais les populations, elles voient cet engagement citoyen-là en termes de devoir de nos administrations. Alors que qui dit devoir et de droit pardon, de l'administration, qui dit droit dit devoir également. Donc, il faut qu'on travaille un peu sur ce volet-là pour que les populations puissent vraiment adopter les bonnes pratiques et qu'elles sachent également jusqu'à où vont leurs responsabilités. Il y a également un deuxième défi qui est la mutation des opérateurs privés. J'ai montré tout à l'heure qu'on a pu mettre en place 5 opérateurs privés qui délivrent des services dans ces zones. Ben, ces opérateurs-là, c'était dans le cadre d'un programme, du projet, avec des financements que nous leur allouons. Donc, il ne faudrait pas que leur activité s'arrête là avec la fin du projet. Il faut qu'elles puissent intégrer ça dans leur agenda, de pouvoir faire toujours la mobilisation, la promotion de l'assainissement dans ces zones. Je ne peux plus partir là. J'espère que les piles n'ont pas lâché. Ah. Ça a lâché, hein? Vous pouvez m'aider? Ah, c'est venu. Okay. Peut-être que je n'appuyais pas bien. Donc, le dernier défi émergent, c'est la gestion des boues de vidange. Il y a toujours des faiblesses là-bas. Il faut qu'on travaille sur cet aspect-là. Parce que la pratique aujourd'hui, c'est quoi? Vous voyez un peu, c'est la vidange manuelle et c'est les équipements comme ça, les équipements qui sont utilisés. Donc, nous voulons passer de ce statut-là à celui-là. Et là, on voit que les équipements sont plus adaptés. Il n'y a pas de risque. Et ça permet en tout cas d'acheminer en toute sécurité les boues qui sont vidangées du contenu des fosses vers des sites aménagés. Et également, vous voyez là, en fait, les boues qui sont vidangées comme ça sont dépotées de façon sauvage, entre griffes, dans l'environnement, avec tous les risques que cela comporte. Donc, nous voulons passer également de cette situation à celle-là, parce que là, vous voyez, c'est des boues qui ont été hygiénisées sur des sites contrôlés, qui sont livrés en fait dans des exploitations agricoles. Et donc, on utilise ça comme fertilisant. Et il y a même un marché qui est en train de se créer autour de ça. Donc, on vidange de cette façon et aller les déverser dans l'environnement avec tous les risques que cela comporte. On les transporte, on vidange, on transporte en sécurité. On va sur des sites qui sont aménagés pour le traitement et ensuite, on les envoie dans les exploitations. Décidément. OK. Donc, voilà, je suis un peu au terme de la présentation. Je vous remercie. Thank you.
Does it work? Yeah. Thank you to Mr. Sanu for his presentation. And now I will hand over to Ada, yeah, who will be presenting the case of Nigeria.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ada Oko-Williams, and I work for WaterAid, based in the program in London, the head office in London. But I'll be speaking this afternoon about one of our flagship programs around sanitation that, with these partners listed, as you can see from there, that we've implemented in Nigeria in the past. Well, it started in 2012, yeah. But it's also been wrapped up with second phases coming up now. And I must say that I'm making this presentation on behalf of my colleagues in Nigeria, who, for some reasons, aren't here today. And basically, okay, I think there's a problem with... I think maybe the battery is low. To save time, I've got it open on my laptop. Can you help me pass my laptop? And
This is disconnected from the operation. So all right. Thank you.
Okay, well, I've got backup, just in case. So this program that was implemented in the past 7 years in Nigeria really was about WaterAid Nigeria and partners learning how to, develop and implement what we termed sustainable total sanitation. Because over the course of the last decade in Nigeria particularly, not last decade, last 2 decades, I would say, sanitation has been the forefront in terms of focus of the government. But unfortunately, with the GMP results and other monitoring systems, we're not doing very well with that. And so at the time, Nigeria also decided, WaterAid Nigeria, we partners said, what can we do about it? And that was the birth of this program, Sustainable Total Sanitation. But what we'll be talking about today really is how this program, through this program, we've been able to also focus on and try to learn around how to ensure that everyone actually has access to sanitation. And most importantly, making the process of accessing sanitation for everyone and most vulnerable people a lot easier than it is currently, or it was in Nigeria. Not a lot of change, but we're getting there. So in terms of statistics, from GMP 2017, there seemed to be a decline in access to sanitation for Nigeria. And what that means is, if there's a general figure like this, you can begin to imagine what the position is for people who are already vulnerable, or people who typically we would consider the ones easily to be left behind. It could be a lot worse for them. And in trying to create this space where people can have access to sanitation, and the most vulnerable also, we as a country program also decided to focus a lot on involving the private sector in the process of the delivering sanitation at rural levels in Nigeria. And so linking demand, coming up with the question of demand and supply, moving away from just what was typically the practice in the sector of subsidy, or leaving the entire responsibility for sanitation to households by themselves, was also a question. And this is also, let me mention quickly, that comes on the background of heavy programs that have been developed around CLTS alone. So we were trying also to build on the lessons that we had learned from implementing CLTS alone. And then the focus of the program, again, was how do we then influence access, not only as households for people who are vulnerable, people who are in the category of the ones to be left behind, to then have facility both at home and at institutional level. So the picture there is a typical touch, very basic toilets that you would find in rural Nigeria, and that's from Nkano in Enugu State. And just mention the project I'm talking about was implemented in 2 states in Nigeria, eastern part of Nigeria, Enugu State, and the second one in Ekiti, in southwestern Nigeria. So I'll just go straight to how we started to work around ensuring, first of all, in terms of leaving no one behind, looking and focusing a lot on the kind of products that were available, products and services available, and how they were going to be accessible for everyone. And so we wanted to understand, and through that, the project that was funded at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had 4 key pillars to it. It had the rigorous research, covered with an RCT to try to help us figure out some of the questions we had. Also had an element of promoting or creating demand using the CLTS approach and reaching a certain number of communities. It had also an advocacy component to it and an element of action learning, active action learning. But with regards to the pillar on creating demand, we were focusing a lot on not just the promotion of demand in terms of, yes, this is a situation with sanitation, you need to make a decision about it and own a toilet at community level, but also trying to see how we can provide the pathways, helping organizations, helping communities and households to arrive at a point where they had options, they had the right products that would deliver sanitation sustainably for them. Sorry, the light's really reflecting on my eyes. So, in that regard, we focused on product development, and we did conduct We did conduct a research that helped us to tease out what the issues were in these communities. One of it, and something we found out in Nigeria, was a block and as a hindrance to assessing sanitation, was that the process of assessing sanitation, even when you had the resources, was cumbersome. The products were not there in their right form. The products were not accessible. The products were not affordable for a lot of people, and more so for most vulnerable. So we focused on, in terms of products, let's ask ourselves, what kind of products do people want? That including everybody, and not just products for people who had money to pay, products that people want, drawing on the aspirational side of sanitation. And the responses were basically, good and improved toilets was something that everyone desired. Toilets that were affordable was also desired. Toilets that were durable and, above all, aspirational. And I'll say this, if you know Nigerians, we take pride in things. We're very proud people, to be honest. And because of that, even with regards to our toilet, it mattered. From the formative research we did to implement this, particularly in Ekiti, we realized also that because we were creating so much demand and we were not getting ODF status, one of the responses to the questions that were asked was, why are you not building toilets? And people said to us, look, you're telling me to build toilets using local materials. It's not exactly what I would be proud to show off to anybody. So I'd rather continue to do my defecation in the bush where no one knows where it is, and we'll leave the matter like that. I would not have a crappy toilet, so, well, I won't build one. And this is, we're talking to people in communities where, even if, people had some level of education that you expect that they know exactly why, the importance of having and owning a toilet at home, but they would rather not construct one until they had one that was meeting up with their status, one that demonstrated the spirit of I pass my neighbor. Anyone, they asked the Nigerians to explain to you in Pidgin. So, well, that was one focus. And then, in terms of the products, even when products were available, because the kind of products they wanted, some were available in the market already, your typical WC and the rest. But local production and availability in terms of access to them, because of distance from where these rural communities were based, was also a major challenge. So in terms of the products, we're looking at how can we provide toilets or products that will be that will be locally available all the time, and also be responsive to the insights we're getting from our product design process. And thirdly, we also were looking at long-term market sustainability, not just developing products or coming up with products right now that would meet just the short-term needs, but that would be sustainable. And that's the element to where it really focuses on, the area where it really focuses on the poor and the vulnerable, is that these are the ones who, more than, in most cases, have to rebuild their toilet every single year. Seasonally, they have to rebuild their toilet, and that is significant investment. So looking at the long-term sustainability, ensuring that the right supply chain was available, but above all, that the investments that these categories of people were making in their toilet was not beyond what they should be making in terms of number of times they had to be repeating building toilets. The toilet I showed you at the beginning, that's a toilet that is almost, I mean, after every rainy season, it goes down, by all means. So we were focusing on that in terms of addressing the product gap that existed in terms of demand and supply. Then on the other side also was trying also to build a market around this that would drive the delivery of these products and services. So the market also was to respond to issues around social norms, around sanitation, looking at income classes in the rural areas and ensuring that the market was responsive to the classification of the classes of income earners in the community. Looking also at the issues of gender, roles, and beliefs, and how that affects sanitation in terms of marketing, and then state of infrastructure. Institutionally, we focused on prioritization of sanitation by key institutions responsible for delivering these products and services. So we worked with the local government very closely. And now, in the second phase, we've continued to work with policy-making bodies in the states where we work to try and influence the policy space to enable them create the enabling environment for businesses and markets to thrive that produce and deliver services and products that respond to the needs of everyone, and particularly the poor. So weaving on proper thinking and considerations in the policies that have been delivered now. And also on the market side, helping to shape the policies around small and medium-scale enterprises that were also emerging from the implementation of this program, and other institutional arrangements to support that considerations. On economic terms and trying to shape the market, we're looking at credit, we're looking at customer insights driving, information from customer insights really driving how we deliver, and then customer aggregation and profitability in rural areas. That's basically segregating the market and ensuring that products and services are aligned to the needs and the desires, the aspirations of the various market segments that exist. Sorry. Okay, I started by telling you this was a program delivered under the Sustainable Total Sanitation thinking. And from the implementation in the research phase to now where we're continuing, we have an emerging framework, some sort of theory of change of how we think that sanitation for all can happen sustainably and, in the sense of total. That means everyone included in Nigeria. The framework really suggests right now that we must start always at the point of doing very thorough investigations, using such tools as formative research, political economy analysis, have those really, really well developed. That will help you to understand where, and disaggregate the information around really the no one left behind, should be left behind. So if we do that, we would understand where vulnerable people are, the levels of vulnerability, what the dimensions of vulnerability, and be able to respond to that. So we suggest within the emerging framework that you start with that. And then from there, move on to, until you have done that, before you engage in any process, using any tool or any approach for demand generation. Because what's happening currently, you're creating demand, generating demand, not enough supply, not enough insight to understand how to respond to the demand that is being generated. And that's the story with a lot of the approaches that we have used previously in this sector, where we are learning. We think that with very deep insights from formative research, political economy analysis, for instance, and other analytical tools, you come to that insight first. And moving up from there, you do the demand activation. Once demand is generated, this is where we begin to get into the language of markets and businesses to also drive access to even vulnerable people. And we work also around creating markets and capacity support, delivering that to different institutions, but before then, ensuring that you're fulfilling the demand that has been generated, through the various approaches that we use, for instance, whilst working in the middle there and addressing the issues of institutional reforms, policy reforms, speaking to issues of integration, equity, and inclusion, making sure that all of that is going around these pillars in the emerging framework. Then we think that with that and with adequate credit, space made for credit and capacity, we should be able to increase toilet ownership that responds to gender, disability, and inclusion issues, be able to strengthen local services and efficient delivery of services for everyone, and then also create government leadership at private sector and government levels to be able to continue to facilitate this and own it and deliver it sustainably. From this model that we're now implementing in Bauchi State, which is northern part of the country, lessons learned from Enugu and Ekiti are now being used in Bauchi State. So I haven't got a map of Nigeria to show you, but Enugu and Ekiti. Enugu is in the east, Ekiti is in the southwest. We're now trying to use the lessons from the project in the northeastern part of Nigeria, which is in Bauchi. I was seeing that using that model I just talked about, there's increased number of sanitation enterprises, building, more people taking on sanitation as a business and delivering sustained high levels of sales with profitability, indications of profitability in the business. We've seen household sanitation implementation at local government averaging about 67% in this particular state. And then job creation is happening, and this is where it also touches on the issue of poor and vulnerable people accessing sanitation. We've created a body or a core of sales agents, door-to-door agents they are called, that really had a focus on involving more women to get into the business of sanitation. So most of the door-to-door agents preferentially have been, most of them are women, maybe widows, or have some vulnerable status and need also to get involved in owning a business and working through that. So we've selected carefully, looking at gender issues, selected the door-to-door agents and trained them, basing them on those kind of issues. There are also the toilet business owners, and their businesses are growing and integrating vulnerable people in the process of engaging them and working with them and creating more, improving livelihoods generally, I would say. It's also not just at the micro level, but at the macro level, we're looking at job creation, particularly with the sanitation business growing. We've got one Nigerian company called Innocent. Innocent is a major manufacturer of household products and even cars, but not only Nigeria has been able to facilitate a relationship with Innocent and Lixol that's led to the local production of the sato pans in Nigeria, and that is a huge job creation opportunity, a window that's just been opened that would maximize quickly. And then will be all right. Low-income households are also a major outcomes of the model. Results about low-income households having more toilets because there are disaggregated products and services that are available at the different levels, and then focusing very much on affordability, disability issues and considerations in terms of product design. Unfortunately, we don't have a product, but in my last 1 minute, if you can just really focus on this picture, the last picture, this one. That's a small and medium scale entrepreneur that Water started to work with. He was just a concrete block producer like that before he got involved in the business of sanitation. And in the space of less than 12 months, he grew his business from just this to producing these toilets that are adapted in different forms. I don't know why we didn't get the pictures from Nigeria, but are adapted to include gender, space, disability, every form of it, really. His name is Kenechukwa. He's our star producer, but he's grown from this small business in the space of 1 month to actually buy himself a van in this, through the business of sanitation. Anyway, thank you very much, and apologies that I ran over time, but bear with me, I was doing this on behalf of my colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We are now done with the presentation. I was planning to have a panel session, and after we open the floor to the participants. I have already prepared some questions to the panelists, but I will, due to time constraints, I will keep it short. Just one question per panelist, if you are okay. So I will ask Clara to join me here. Priscilla. Clara is from WSCC, donor side. Priscilla from NGO side. And our Honorable Some, the MP, this is for the decision making. Yeah? Yeah, we can start with the civil society. Yeah, it's okay. So, Priscilla, you are leading a women NGO in Nigeria, working really on inequalities, inclusion. So, based on what you heard from the three presentations and your own experience across Nigeria and even beyond, how do you think that such strategies or approaches can really help us to reach the last mile?
Good afternoon. Thank you for bringing me to be one of the panelists on this very important presentation. First and foremost, this morning when the presenters were making their presentation at the opening ceremony, my hand was up and nobody was able to give me the opportunity to talk. Now I have that opportunity and to challenge each and every one of us that is sitting down here. We cannot be talking about sanitation without the women involvement. Sanitation is dignity. Sanitation is health. And therefore, when we talk about sanitation, as we are gathered here, we must also make sure that we take leadership. And I strongly believe that we have members of government that are here. I'm happy to be sitting very close to a member of the parliament. It's not just about talking about it, but also implementing it. We want to see actions on the ground. Majority of the people that are affected by sanitation are women and children. I've always said in my country that the men find it very easy. You can just go out there and stand and do your thing and go away. The women, we cannot do it. So that is the first challenge that the women have. And that is what we're talking about, dignity. But when you talk about the health issues, the presenters here today talked about the issues of cholera. And I'm happy about the presentation from Kenya, which also included the issues of people with disability, which also included the elderly people. How many of us think of these people? We have a lot of them in our society. Gender is not just about women. It's about both men and women. The physically challenged, the elderly, the youth. How do we take them into consideration when we are planning our programs? Our infrastructures, even here, how friendly are they to the people with disabilities? How friendly are they for people that are elderly? These are considerations that we must talk about. If we say that no one should be left behind, then our programming must change. Then our projects, how we implement our project and our policies must change. Our policies must not just be policies that end up in the shelves, but policies that must be implemented on the ground. So hearing the speakers today, I heard that very clearly. I am from Nigeria, very good model, but did that model take into consideration the very rural woman who cannot afford it? You also talk about class. Yes, we know that Nigeria has class, but how about those rural women that cannot talk about class for themselves? Did we really consider them? How did we plan to include them? The children that are out there that are in schools that do not have access to toilet and yet they need it. Half of their lifetime I'm wearing this, and I'm happy to talk about it because this is from WSCC. Incidentally, I'm also the national coordinator for WSCC Nigeria. WSCC has done some great work in Nigeria. For the first time, out of the 774 local governments in Nigeria, WSCC was the organization that won the first ODF LGA in the country. It is not easy because they have to work inclusively with everybody. The traditional leaders, the policymakers, everybody needed to be on ground. In fact, the traditional leaders were the ones that were championing it. We also have the natural leaders. Majority of them are women. And therefore, when we plan, I will say that we need to have an all-inclusive planning. And this is part of the work that WEP has been doing for over 21 years now. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Clara, presenting WSCC, and I will ask you what kind of support the WCC can provide to our countries so that we can scale up this kind of initiative you hear about from the three presentations.
Thank you very much. I've known Priscilla for, is it close to 10 years? And you know, if you're going to talk after her, it's not a good position to be in. But I'll do my best. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of support that, or encouragement and empowerment that organizations like WSSCC and others can provide. I think one of the main aspects is to provide some flexibility in programming. You know, these processes at the community level, especially when we are targeting the last mile, are very complex, very dynamic. So the ability to provide space for adaptive programming, dynamic programming, I think is something that organizations like ours can really try to improve on. We talked here about K-SHIP, and I want to recognize my colleague Hakeem sitting here in the audience who actually did this and allowed K-SHIP to have that space in an era, an MDG era, where the focus was perhaps more on results. So I think this is a very important element. You talked about policy, etc. I think that is one of the areas where we worked as WSSCC intensively with national partners and governments to ensure that these policies are inclusive, because in the end, you know, if we don't get that right, it's going to be harder as you go down towards implementation. I think the third point that I'd say is we talk about learning and documentation, and we are here, we are sharing, we have, you know, traditional ways of doing that. But if we really want to accelerate, and we've got to get the sharing of these examples a little bit more top-notch. And I think that there are lots of good examples. And again, I think K-SHIP has some innovative ways of doing it, the real-time learning platforms. I think that is something that, I mean, Beverly, you mentioned that, and please do go to Facebook and see some of these things. This is more internal for you, but I think that is something that we can support also across countries to ensure that we can speed up delivery of sanitation hygiene also for the last mile. So I'll end there.
Merci, M. Kwanda. Je voudrais avant tout propos vous remercier pour l'occasion que vous me donnez de prendre la parole à cette conférence du donner et du recevoir. Je suis venu partager la toute petite expérience du réseau des parlementaires burkinabés pour l'eau potable, hygiène et assainissement. Il faut dire que le réseau a une histoire. C'est suite à une étude qui a été menée par, qui a été commanditée par WaterAid sur le leadership du docteur Kwanda, au passage que je voulais remercier, que les parlementaires, à l'issue des résultats que l'étude a prouvés, ils ont décidé de prendre le taureau par les cornes et nous avons mis en place le réseau. Et le réseau, pour être plus efficace, a décidé de mettre un plan d'action en place qui se décline, qui se bâtit sur 5 axes. Et ces 5 axes aussi sont déclinés en activités. Et maintenant, à ce niveau, nous avons mené certaines activités pour ne pas exclure. Le réseau est effectivement une organisation qui travaille dans le cadre de l'accès à tous à l'eau potable, l'accès équitable à l'eau potable. En ce qui concerne notre contribution, nous parlementaires, nous avons une arme forte. L'arme forte que nous avons là, c'est le contrôle de l'action gouvernementale et le vote des lois. Au niveau du contrôle des actions gouvernementales, nous faisons des missions d'information. Et comme exemple, nous avons fait des sorties dans les zones non loties pour toucher du doigt les réalités du terrain et échanger avec les populations qui nous ont reversé les préoccupations. Et ces préoccupations, nous avons envoyées à l'Assemblée et nous avons partagé avec nos collègues députés. Et ensemble, nous avons interpellé le gouvernement sur certaines questions quant à ses engagements qu'il a pris. Nous savons bien que ce soit au niveau des zones loties, que ce soit au niveau des zones non loties, les personnes qui y vivent ont aussi participé au vote des représentants qui sont à l'Assemblée. Donc, à ce niveau, nous usons de notre rôle régalien pour peser et influer sur les lois de telle sorte que l'accès à l'eau potable, l'accès équitable à l'eau potable et à l'assainissement soit inclusif. Et à ce niveau aussi, nous parlementaires, nous pensons aujourd'hui faire un appel vibrant aux parlementaires de la CEDEAO. À ce niveau, qu'est-ce qui peut être fait qu'on pense un peu à la prise en compte au niveau de la CEDEAO, au niveau du Parlement panafricain. Et sur ce, pour terminer mon propos, je voudrais dire que c'était un dicton qui dit que seul, on va vite, mais ensemble, on va plus loin. Et les parlementaires feront ce qu'ils font dans leur rôle régalien pour peser et influer sur les lois pour que ça puisse être inclusif. Je vous remercie.
My left, yes, with the lady. Can you introduce yourself? Just.
Bonsoir, je vais parler en français. Je suis Madame Ouedraogo Rukiatou, je viens du Burkina Faso. Je travaille pour le secrétariat permanent des organisations non gouvernementales, qui est une plateforme de la société civile. Et la question de l'accès à l'eau et à l'assainissement pour tous font partie des sujets sur lesquels nous travaillons. J'ai beaucoup appris de cette session et je voulais vraiment attirer l'attention sur l'importance et le rôle de la société civile pour la prise en compte des personnes vulnérables et l'inclusion de tous dans les différents programmes que nous menons. Par exemple, au niveau du Burkina, en tant que fêtière des organisations de la société civile, nous essayons de travailler avec les politiques pour nous assurer que les politiques publiques qui sont définies tiennent compte des besoins et des préoccupations de ces personnes vulnérables. Et aujourd'hui, ce qu'on peut saluer, c'est qu'au niveau étatique, les nouveaux programmes qui ont été élaborés après les OMD reconnaissent aujourd'hui une approche qui est l'approche fondée sur les droits humains à l'eau et à l'assainissement, et aussi l'approche service. Grâce à l'approche fondée sur les droits humains à l'eau et à l'assainissement, les États sont obligés de faire participer l'ensemble des parties prenantes dans la définition, mais également d'apporter des réponses qui correspondent à chaque niveau et à chaque besoin des populations. Donc pour nous, c'est déjà une très, très bonne avancée. Également, nous travaillons au sein des communautés pour les amener et également à comprendre leurs devoirs et leurs responsabilités. Et je pense que voilà, la société civile joue un rôle important et il faudra continuer à les pousser pour pouvoir mieux travailler sur ces enjeux-là. Merci beaucoup.
I'm not always comfortable with stopping the ladies, but I'm obliged by, because of time constraints. Yeah. 30 seconds. Hein?
Ok, merci. Alors, je suis Longuèrement André Patindé, directeur général de l'assainissement du Burkina Faso. En tout cas, j'ai beaucoup approuvé les communications, mais j'ai 2 ou 3 observations à faire. C'est la question de l'identité des droits. Alors, je voudrais dire que tout État est responsable de la satisfaction des besoins de tout habitant de son pays. Ça, c'est une obligation. Donc, en ce qui nous concerne en matière d'assainissement, il n'y a pas de milieu rural, milieu urbain. Tout homme a droit à l'assainissement et on doit l'assurer. Ça, c'est un engagement. Ensuite, il y a la question donc de la caractérisation des personnes. Alors, nous entendons quelquefois les personnes vulnérables, défavorisées. Je crois que là, il faut être très précis, qu'aujourd'hui, les personnes qu'il faut cibler, c'est ce que les banquiers appellent quelquefois les personnes indigentes, c'est-à-dire c'est des gens sans moyens. Il faut être très clair, parce que tout handicapé n'est pas pauvre. Au Burkina, vous allez aujourd'hui dans les zones non loties, vous avez des Mercedes dedans. Tous ceux qui vivent dans les zones non loties ne sont pas pauvres. Il faut cibler ceux qui ne peuvent pas le faire. Et la plus grande portion de ces populations, c'est les personnes vivant dans la rue. Pour ces questions, il faut envisager des toilettes publiques gratuites. Il n'y a rien à faire. Et quand on dit gratuit, c'est quelqu'un qui va prendre la charge de la gestion et du fonctionnement. Vous avez les malades mentaux, les sans domicile fixe, ce qu'on appelle quelquefois les enfants de la rue. Si on veut satisfaire tout le monde, à ces gens-là, il faut des toilettes publiques gratuites. Il faut y penser. Enfin, je crois qu'il y a des mesures sociales à prendre pour le reste.
Très rapidement, hein?
Oui. Je dis, enfin, il y a des mesures sociales à prendre pour le reste. Là. Je crois que si on amenait les gens d'une certaine façon consciente à avoir l'obligation d'assurer leur hygiène et leur assainissement, c'est possible. Aujourd'hui, nous avons une certaine liberté qui constitue un frein parce qu'il y a des personnes qui peuvent le faire mais qui ne le font pas parce qu'il n'y a rien derrière. Je vous remercie.
Okay.
Oui. Je peux? Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je me remercie les présentateurs pour la clarité de la présentation. J'avais juste quelques questions pour celui qui a présenté pour le Burkina. Il avait dit que grâce à la stratégie qu'ils ont développée, ils ont pu construire plus de 15 900 latrines. Je voudrais demander, est-ce qu'ils ont travaillé aussi sur, ils ont fait une évaluation sur le taux d'utilisation de ces latrines? Et aussi, il disait quelque part qu'ils faisaient aussi de la subvention. Avec la fin du projet, est-ce qu'ils ont travaillé un peu sur la stratégie pour permettre à ces gens-là de continuer encore à construire les latrines? Est-ce que les latrines ont aussi été construites? Est-ce qu'ils ont pris en compte l'option technologique pour les personnes handicapées?
Okay.
Merci.
Merci. Il y a tellement de volontaires pour intervenir que je suis un peu... Parce que là, il est l'heure. Et on est obligé d'arrêter.
Oui, c'est Saada Traoré du Mali, Care International au Mali. Merci.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. On va arrêter dans 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we are obliged to stop, to end the session. Yeah. So, go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Councillor Herbert Gomba. I'm from Harare. I'm the mayor of the capital city of Zimbabwe. I've heard the MP talking about different platforms that there are in trying to help out, in trying to come to solutions to what we are discussing now. And I think it's important that more should be done to ensure that central governments or local governments do put aside a lot in terms of allocations to complement the efforts of the NGOs and donors who are here. And I think you can assist more by trying to come up with, at African parliamentary forums, to come up with certain agreements to which then central and local government can be made to allocate more resources towards that. And I'm particularly happy with what I've seen from Senegal.
Can you do it quickly? So
okay. I am happy with what I've seen on the presentation from Burkina Faso, I think. Because I think the problem of today is to ensure that we solve sanitation problems that we are facing, and again, try to prevent underground pollution. How are you dealing with the problems that are likely to arise due to pollution underground that may cause further diseases due to seepages because we are disposing under the ground? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This side, I will move.
Thank you. I'm Robert from WaterAid. Addressing inequalities means reaching the hardest to reach, and it is argued that this might mean providing expensive wash services. Now my question is, how do we justify the value for money when we try to provide these services? It's costing maybe double as much, and the donors at the same time are demanding for value for money.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Fungai Makoni from World Vision, East Africa. My question and my comment builds up on my brother Robert, because one of the key issues we are dealing with, we are talking about the last mile, leaving no one behind, talking about sanitation. If you have worked in the sector for the past 2 decades, we have seen that water infrastructure is developed more than sanitation infrastructure. So that's where the challenge is in terms of if you're able to motivate governments, private sector, everybody, academics, to come up with sanitation structures that are able to fit in the different range of communities, we should be able to answer that question in terms of addressing the issue of the leaving no one behind the last mile. So that is really our key areas. About sanitation is household funded, while water is more of donor and community funded. So this is where the conundrum is. So the issue is technology. How do we motivate private sector, government, everybody to really come up with the technology? I'll be happy, and I'll really step down and say, if somebody can come up with the technology that costs $40 to $30, that would address our issues of sanitation and hygiene. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so sorry that I have to stop. But before, I will give the mic to Mr. Sanu to just answer to some questions raised. And also, I think the MP, and we'll wrap up. Huh?
Merci. Par rapport à la question de savoir est-ce qu'il y a un suivi post-réalisation qui est fait, est-ce que les populations utilisent les latrines, je dirais oui. Je ne peux pas ici donner un pourcentage, mais en tout cas, les populations utilisent les latrines. Et mieux, quand on arrivait à la fin du programme, on a aujourd'hui, je dirais, entre 15 000 et 20 000 demandes qui émanaient des populations de ces zones-là que nous n'avons pas pu prendre en compte. Donc, nous travaillons petit à petit à résorber cela. Elles construisent toujours des ouvrages, peut-être pas le modèle, pas le prototype que j'ai présenté, mais ces populations-là réalisent des latrines. Parce que vous voyez, c'est un milieu très exigu, il n'y a même plus d'espace. Soit vous réalisez votre latrine, ou bien peut-être vous allez partager une latrine avec le voisin. Alors que chez nous, les gens n'aiment pas partager les latrines. Donc, on ne fait pas un suivi permanent, mais le retour que nous avions, ces latrines-là sont utilisées, le besoin y est. Au contraire, il faut voir à travailler à satisfaire la demande, le besoin qui est exprimé. Je pense que c'est ce que j'ai pu noter comme préoccupation concernant la présentation que j'ai faite.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Hein? To do what? Ok.
Please time me. I'll do it in 1 minute. I just wanted to respond to the point that you raised on technology and making that available for everybody, really. And that's kind of like, maybe it didn't quite come out in the presentation from Nigeria, but that's the axe that the Nigerian program is targeting. Being able to provide technology options that are safe, that meet aspirational needs of people, yet affordable. So that's the premise on it. And there's some work, and there are toilets, full, complete toilets that are being built now with less than $40 per household. So those ones exist, and I'm very happy to share more details about the products and the pictures and all that. There's a website, which, please come to our stand. I'll put some materials out there. Thank you.
Bien. Donc, pour être équitable et inclusif, on va terminer la session en français. On a démarré en anglais, on va terminer en français. Yes? Donc, au nom de l'ensemble des structures et des personnes qui ont organisé cette session, je voudrais vous remercier individuellement et collectivement pour être venus vous joindre à nous pour conduire cette discussion. Malheureusement, nous n'avons pas plus de temps pour continuer les échanges, mais nous sommes là pour toute la semaine. Et aussi bien les présentateurs que moi-même, que les organisateurs et l'ensemble des panélistes. Donc, n'hésitez pas à contacter ces personnes-là individuellement pour poursuivre les discussions, parce que les cas qui ont été présentés ici ce sont des cas qui ont été triés comme ça. Il y en a bien d'autres à travers l'Afrique. Il y a de très bonnes initiatives qui se passent à travers l'Afrique et qui montrent que, oui, avec l'engagement collectif, avec le leadership des uns et des autres, nous pouvons y arriver. Moi, personnellement, je crois qu'on peut y arriver pour peu que le leadership soit là, que tout le monde soit engagé et qu'on ne tourne pas en rond. Quand on dit qu'on veut faire quelque chose, on fait. Même si on échoue, on peut toujours tirer leçon de ce qu'on a pu faire, des échecs, pour avancer. Il n'y a pas d'approche parfaite. Il n'y en a pas qui puisse permettre à tout État africain de dire oui, en 2030, nous sommes sûrs que nous allons réussir l'accès universel. Il n'y en a pas. Donc, à chaque pays, à chaque organisation, à chaque communauté, à chaque gouvernement de s'organiser pour vraiment réfléchir par rapport au contexte, quelles sont les approches les plus appropriées pour effectivement faire en sorte que 2030 soit une réussite pour tout le monde et que nous puissions célébrer tous ensemble cette victoire de l'accès universel en 2030. Donc, merci encore à Elisabeth, merci à Daniel, merci à Beverly, merci à Clara, Priscilla, Honorable Sommet, merci à Sanou, Tontama, merci à Ada, et merci à vous tous pour la contribution. Et puis, les discussions se poursuivent. Et je peux vous assurer qu'il y a un secrétariat qui a été mis en place. On a pris les notes et l'ensemble des discussions qui ont été menées, l'ensemble des présentations qui ont été faites là, on va tirer la synthèse et on va reverser ça dans les résultats même de la conférence Africa-SAN et FSM 5. Donc, soyez rassurés, ce rapport sera disponible et vous pourriez en bénéficier. Donc, je vais laisser le dernier mot à Elisabeth juste pour conclure. Merci.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kwanda. Just some procedural announcements. There's been some slight changes to our program. So just allow me to read through to it. Okay, so we'll take a break. And then instead of going into the various stakeholder dialogues that had been scheduled, we will convene for a plenary session at the auditorium between 5 and 6. No. We'll take a break, then we have to convene at the auditorium, and then from then, we will come into the dialogues. So we have the civil society dialogue that will take place here, 1.4, development partners dialogue, room 1.6, local authorities dialogue, room 2.6, that will happen at 7. It has been moved to 7. And then the private sector dialogue, room 2.44. So take a break. We have to reconvene at the auditorium before you go into the sector dialogues. Thank you very much for attending this session.